Hello BookTube, it's Joshua here, and I just wanted to give you a little reading update. So I mainly read two things over the past week or two. I read a short novella by George Sand. Uh, it's called The Devil's Pool. Uh, I read it on an ebook, and well, it really wasn't much, to be honest. It was it was just a kind of love story, uh, set in a pastoral setting in like the French countryside, and it was charming. I think that was mainly the goal that George Sand had in writing it. She just meant to charm you with the kind of simple love story, the simple setting. There was an appendix to it where she went on at length describing a, a a marriage ceremony tradition in the French countryside. And I found that kind of fascinating, actually. I was charmed by it, if nothing else. But the next thing that I read was uh, the first book of Virginia Woolf's Common Reader series. It's just a set of maybe a dozen essays uh, on various subjects, on various books, on classics, and on historical personages. I found it completely fascinating and very often insightful. My favorite essay in the first series was the one on Montaigne. I thought that was really great. Uh, but I also really liked this one essay called, oh, what was it called again? Uh, Hold on, I'll have to check. Okay, so I checked, and the essay is the very last essay in this first series called "How It Strikes a Contemporary," and where she goes on about modern literature, or what was modern for her in her time period. And I want to read you a couple extracts from it. Um, reviewers we have, but no critic. A million competent and incorruptible policemen, but no judge. Men of taste and learning and ability are forever lecturing the young and celebrating the dead. But the too frequent result of their able and industrious pens is the desiccation of the living tissues of literature into a network of little bones. Nowhere shall we find the downright vigor of a Dryden or Keats with his fine and natural bearing, his profound insight and sanity, or Flaubert and the tremendous power of his fanaticism, or Coleridge, above all, brewing in his head the whole of poetry, and letting issue now and then one of those profound general statements which are caught up by the mind when hot with the friction of reading, as if they were the soul of the book itself. Yeah, apparently Virginia Woolf hasn't heard of Steve Donahue, but that's okay. Um, and then, and then I'll read you another extract, um, and where she kind of highlights the more optimistic side of the modern age, or of her modern age. But it is just when opinions universally prevail and we have added lip service to their authority that we become sometimes most keenly conscious that we do not believe a word that we are saying. It is a barren and exhausted age, we repeat. We must look back with envy to the past. Meanwhile, it is one of the first fine days of spring. Life is not altogether lacking in color. The telephone, which interrupts the most serious conversations and cuts short the most weighty observations, has a romance of its own. And the random talk of people who have no chance of immortality, and thus can speak their minds out, has a setting, often, of lights, streets, houses, human beings, beautiful or grotesque, which will weave itself into the moment forever. But this is life. The talk is about literature. We must try to disentangle the two, and justify the rash revolt of optimism against the superior plausibility, the finer distinction of pessimism. So that's Virginia Woolf. The essay goes on, and it's really brilliant. I found almost all of her essays to be really brilliant. And what's next? Well, in terms of just ongoing reading projects that I haven't mentioned yet on the channel, well, this year I've been following along with Steve Donahue's read aloud of the New Testament. Um, so I've just been kind of doing that slowly. Um, and it's been really it's actually been really rewarding, because it just kind of it's like it's like the Bible is a key which unlocks so many other pathways into literature. It just seems like things make more sense once you read this, because it has such an important place in the world. Um, I've also been reading, I've been reading Baudelaire very slowly, because I've been trying to read the poetry in the original French. Uh, I just finished my first year of university, and I took French class as an option. And now I'm trying to read. Well, this book actually has the French and the English on both sides. So I've been reading the French very slowly and constantly referring to the English side, so that I can understand what it's saying, and so that I can kind of understand the context. And it's been going slowly, but it's been really, really rewarding. I'm enjoying this a lot. Probably I will be just, as long as I'm learning French, I will be trying to read something in French, like Baudelaire, or I also have Rimbaud. I haven't really dipped into this. I've more just been reading Baudelaire, but after Baudelaire, I would like to read this. As for future reads, I may very well just try to read the second half of Virginia Woolf's Common Readers series. I'll either do that, or I'll take a break from it, and maybe try to read something else. Like, for example, I was thinking I might want to read Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. This is a modern kind of translation from the Middle English by Neville Coghill. I've tried actually to read the Canterbury Tales in the original Middle English, and I realize that it's possible, but it's also very uncomfortable. And I think for me, I don't mind just getting to know the story before I get to know the poetry. And I've dipped into this, and Neville Coghill does a really good job. So I think I'll try to read this at some point soon. And maybe later on down the line, I'll try to read the original Middle English again. I also, in my university, in one of the buildings, in the building's basement, I found a little free library, just a shelf and it looked like no one had touched it in ages. And I grabbed a book. It's this portable Renaissance reader, and I'm really glad that I got this. It's not in the best condition, but I taped it up with the Steve Donahue taping method. I just used, I think, packing tape and just put it all over. And also I also put tape in here just to hold it together. And I'm really happy that I got this. The Renaissance is an era that I'm very interested in, but which I've hardly read at all. And it seems like there are hundreds of different excerpts in here from different authors. I'm also very happy to have gotten this specific edition of the Viking Portable Library, because I don't think this is in print anymore. I have some other Viking Portable Library editions here, but they're newer versions. I have this Viking Portable Library Harlem Renaissance reader, which is really amazing. And I also have the Dorothy Parker, an anthology of her short stories and poems and book reviews. And the Viking Portable Library, I believe at some point at some point, it was the company was purchased by Penguin. So sometimes you can find it in the Penguin Black Spine edition, but as you can see, it still says the Portable Emerson. So this is a much older edition. I like the way it looks a lot. I think this kind of figure here is really cool. And I also like that it's much smaller than these other ones. It's more portable. So yeah, I'm very, very happy that I found that and that I discovered that little free library in the basement of one of my university buildings. But I think that's all for today. This was just kind of a rambling stream of consciousness update video. So thank you for watching BookTube, and goodbye.